Welcome to Elevate Your Life and Soul. I'm your host, Marla Kennedy, life coach, mama, and spiritual soul seeker. Each week, this podcast will bring you interviews, stories, and mentoring so you can truly know your value, know your worth, and elevate all areas of your life. Let's rise together. Hey, Chrissy, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy you're here. How are you?
I'm feeling really energized. I ended up pulling a spirit animal card this morning, and I pulled the starfish, which
Wow.
I haven't pulled in a whole year, and the last time I pulled it was last year around this time. And the message of the starfish is infinite possibilities are
Ooh.
on the way, or you're open to infinite possibilities. And I kind of feel starfishy right now.
I love that. That's so amazing. I haven't pulled a card today. I might have to do that a bit later. Yeah, so much fun. And what's the last thing you had to eat?
I just finished eating some egg noodles and leftover curry mixed thing.
Yum, that sounds so good. I'm gonna go eat some pasta after this, I think. Some chickpea pasta, but it's beautiful. Yeah, so good with roasted veggies and stuff. And so tell me a little bit about you. What's your mission?
Ooh, oh my gosh. It's so interesting you asked that. I literally had stuff around mission downloading today, and it's shifted. What came through recently, because a lot of what my focus has been over the course of the last couple of years is reconnecting to my inner child and helping other people do that as well. But the languaging is shifting now, and I'm really focusing on aliveness, not just through the path of activating your inner child, but all the time within all parts of you. So really being the embodiment of life force energy and an explorer of life force energy, and guiding people to activate their sense of vitality and aliveness.
That's so good. I love that. And so you're a spiral practitioner and you're a coach as well. So what compelled you to dive into that?
So spiral was an intuitive pull. I had no idea what it was when I first saw it popping up in my social media feed, but there was something about the symbolism and about the people that were promoting it that created this deep sense of curiosity and alignment. And initially, I was coming from a space of really just wanting to learn another modality, like, oh, this would be so fascinating to learn. And I caught myself coming from a space of scarcity with it. So I decided not to go to the first practitioner training, and I decided to wait. And I got myself a practitioner who took me through the spiral. And then I went to training last year, and it was it was everything that I thought it would be and more. It was absolutely like the universe just giving me my next stepping stone to how I serve best.
So what is spiral for people who don't know what it is?
Yeah. So spiral is this really powerful modality of energetic and quantum clearing. It follows a linear format, but not a linear integration process, but it follows like a ladder. It's like a ladder of consciousness, from lower levels of consciousness to higher levels of consciousness, merging the elements of the chakra system, the Chinese meridian system, NLP coaching, and it also involves applied kinesiology. And essentially what it does is, I use the metaphor of a garden. Like, all of us were seeded with everything we needed to thrive when we were born. And then we had weeds planted in our garden, conditioning, parents, society, culture. And what spiral does is it goes in and it actually pulls the weeds up at the root to create this deep detox and energetic space so that you can access your power much faster than if you were just doing like talk therapy or just coaching or just embodiment work. It really covers like the mind, body, spirit, energetic quadruplet fecta.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
And how has becoming a spiral practitioner changed and influenced things for you?
Oh, massively. One of the things that I took away from the training itself was just a deep, deep conviction in my ability to serve and in my power as a catalyst for other people. And I left there like truly being like, yo, I've got some medicine on my heart. It's for you. Like, let's dance, like, let's do this now. Like, now's the time. So I really left with that buzzing, that aliveness, that energy of possibility after going through Spiral. Went through once early last year and then a second time in prac training. I feel so confident. I feel so grounded. Not all the time. But I feel so much, I can access that so much faster now.
And aliveness. Can you speak to that a little bit more? I love that word.
I know. Well, so aliveness is very much connected to the word vitality, which I was really drawn to that word maybe 4 years ago when I was doing my values exploration. I was like, what's the feeling state that I'm constantly seeking to experience? And it's vitality, which for me is like this energy, awakeness, like a buzzing, excitement, presence, being in my body, inspiration, like all of that coming together. It's like flow state in essence. It's the sense of just like being so enamored with what is in your life. Yeah.
And how do you support people to bring that through in their lives?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I always, especially when we start with Spiral, kind of get to the root of things right away, because the stuff that's typically getting in the way of aliveness is shame, a sense of not being good enough, a sense of not being worthy, a sense of not being able to get things right. And most of us were conditioned from a really young age that we have to earn peace, we have to earn love, we have to earn joy, we have to earn all of these higher vibrations that make us feel so alive. And we have judgments around our lower vibrations. Like we judge ourselves for feeling shame. We judge ourselves for feeling guilt. And so we perpetuate those states. So I help people rewrite and redefine their relationship to pain in a way that empowers them to marry love and acceptance and peace with pain. And then we really start playing and reconnecting to what it's like to just be an explorer of this existence.
And what is play to you?
Yeah. So play to me has a lot to, it's a feeling. It's like a sense of, it's this mergence of different things. It's when I'm playing, curiosity is present. Humor is present. Like there's like a lightness, like a giddiness, like child on the playground, like just wanting to see how many shapes she can create with her body on the monkey bars. And there's an openness to newness and not needing to know what's happening next. So again, going back to curiosity, like being okay with mystery, being okay with spontaneity. It's all of those things. But a lot of it does come back to laughter and silliness for me. That's how I integrate play in my day to day. Because a lot of people will ask, well, do I need to make time for play? I feel like I don't have time to play. And play is not something you schedule. It's something you embody. It's a way of being.
Yeah. So I was actually going to ask you about how you brought play into your day, and you just kind of answered. Is there anything else you would like to expand around that?
Yeah, in relation to bringing play into my day. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been talking to myself since I was born and could talk, making noises, like using my voice to express. And one of the things that I fell away from is that habit of talking to myself, specifically in third person. So like using my name, like Chrissy, you're doing that thing again. Chrissy, this is what you're experiencing. So talking to myself was like the first little portal of getting me back into the moment and creating space around anything that was triggering me. It started to, I call it mirror talks, like taking it to the mirror, taking it out of my head and into the room. And then I started layering that, and I started talking to myself in silly accents. And I started making faces at myself. Like if I quote unquote messed something up, or I perceived myself to have made a mistake, I would kind of wrinkle my face in a funny way and start talking like this, oh my goodness. And like getting into just a very playful, cheeky attitude about it. So I started redefining how I was engaging with stickiness by bringing a sense of humor and like a cheeky, loving, self-deprecating sense of humor to it. And then just like more dancing, more wiggling as I move around. I really just began animating myself more. I started playing out these characters like whenever I felt myself getting too serious.
Mm-hmm. And what benefits have you found from doing that?
Oh my gosh. The first one is I don't get stuck in the the downward spiral of shame. Like I feel like I can just pivot faster. Like when we experience, or when I have in the past experienced shame or discomfort, I'd often go into a story about it and I'd try to reason my way out of it, or like process my way out of it using my mind. And when I bring play to it, I realize that I don't need to process it. I just need to love it. I just need to hold it. I need to be compassionate with it. And it's also made me more magnetic. Like I feel like people resonate with me more when I infuse that energy into things. I feel like, there's just a deeper sense of connection that I'm able to foster with other people, because that energy within me also allows other people to put their guard down. And then it just becomes this like, oh, we can bring anything to the space. Like, let's explore and get curious. So it's helped astronomically in business, but also in my mental well-being, like on the day-to-day.
So how can people start playing? Because I feel like that, as childlike as it is, it can seem scary and really daunting to people.
Yeah. I start with people going just to the mirror and start making silly faces in the mirror and just playing with that and seeing how that feels. And also, I love the idea of adopting an accent and adopting a character and doing it from a place of softness, right? Like when we experience stress, we tend to say, I am stressed. And when we say, I am stressed, we are subconsciously programming our bodies to feel like stress is all there is, and that we are this giant ball of stress, versus a part of me is experiencing stress, just a part, so that there's also acknowledging that there's other parts of us that aren't stressed. So what I started to do is just find little quirky things that I would do on the day-to-day, like try to control things, right? Like I have a part of me that is a controller. And so, gave that part a name, like control freak, right? That's a part of me that shows up from time to time, especially if I'm trying something new. So she comes around, and anytime I catch her coming around, I assign her a voice, and I start talking to her in these different voices and engaging with her like, all right, Chrissy, I see you. Like, all right, control freak, I see you right now. Like, I feel you. I love you. I hear you. We don't really need you at the moment. And for me, it's just, oh man, it's just helped me create so much space around it. So maybe starting to bring characters to the parts of you that feel really sticky. Also, I just asked myself what I used to love to do when I was little. Like, what were the things that brought me joy?
Mm.
And for those of us who don't remember our childhood, the question then becomes, what are the things that you're really interested in? Like, what are the things that you would research if you had 10 hours of free time? What would you look up?
Mm.
And whatever those things are, start surrounding your space with them.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, I remember the first time like I decided to go to a playground and just start playing like on the
Mm.
swings and stuff. And that
Yes.
is like, oh, I love doing that. It's just so much fun. um
Oh,
and I never see a lot of adults doing that ever, but it's a really simple thing that I find is really fun.
it's massive. Yeah. Playing on the swings is one of my favorite things to do ever. Blowing bubbles as well is one of my favorite things to do. Um, Now that you asked the question, my brain's starting to whir and I'm getting a little bit more hits around it and remembrance. So, engaging our senses is a really powerful way to start playing. So, things like playing with Play Doh or getting kinetic sand,
Mm.
or what were your favorite things to smell when you were a child? Start bringing those scents into your home. Start smelling them and activating the memories of how you used to feel as a child when the world felt like there was more possibility.
Mm.
Right? Start remembering what it was like. And it takes courage to start playing. It takes courage to swing on a swing set. I still have a story come up that people are going to think that like I'm on drugs if I'm
Mm.
just like letting myself like fully enjoy the swing set.
Yeah, that's it's funny you say that because that's what like would come to my mind, or like being drunk. Um
Totally.
because I know in the past if I'd been out drinking when I used to drink, because I don't drink now, um
Mhm.
that would probably like in the middle of the night go play in a playground or something because I needed that alcohol to release the inhibitions to do that stuff. It's the same with like dancing. I used to go out dancing and I'd love dancing. And I mean, I dance now at home fine, but before I wouldn't because
Yeah.
who am I to do that?
Yes.
What is
Yeah.
that, do you think? What is that fear or that it's like a sense of we need to be responsible adults?
Yeah. Mm. So, what comes up for me is first and foremost that fear of being under the influence and um, not credible, childish, being judged as childish. And
Mm.
so I carried a story of you use the word responsibility. I need to be competent. I need to be like,
Competent, yeah.
right, like stoic and composed. And there is something about joy that requires you to release control in order to experience it. And so if we were conditioned from a young age, whether we had trauma or our sense of security was jostled, we tend to develop patterns of control and predictability. And joy, as I mentioned, requires that we release a lot of that. So it actually doesn't always feel safe to be in joy. And my experience and what I share with clients is that the degree to which we allow for pain and discomfort is the degree to which we allow for joy. And a lot of us are walking around repressing our pain and discomfort. Like we don't want to feel, whether that's a heavy feeling or a high feeling. We're afraid to feel deeply. So until we do the work to feel safe in our feelings, we're always going to be castrating our joy to some degree.
Mm. And do you feel like that's primarily societal conditioning that's brought us to that place?
I would say yes, especially in the West. Um, we've become a very cognitive, mental culture. And we've moved away from being in our bodies and ritual and gatherings that require us to get back into the body. And we've also become very attached to distraction and stimulus, which again takes us out of the present moment and out of our bodies. And so that paired with maybe a parent that told you that you were too loud when you were playing, or girls on the playground or boys on the playground that told you you were too weird when you were using your imagination, all of that conditioning begins to stifle our sense of self-expression and joy.
Yeah. And how is not playing like holding us back?
Well, it's kinking our creative hose for one. And it's also kinking our intuitive channel. So when we're playing, we're relaxed and we're open. We also have a lot of life force flowing through us. And the amount of life force energy we have flowing through us is directly related to the amount of inspiration, intuition, and sense of resilience and capability we experience. A sense of possibility, really. That sense of like, I'm held by the universe. So when we play, we soften and we nurture our nervous system. It's like a massage for our soul. You know? And I think it's the bedrock of all healing is getting to that space where we allow ourselves to explore and play and become more childlike.
And how, I mean, I think we've covered this a bit, but how does play unlock trauma?
So how does play, are you asking like, does it trigger trauma or does it help release trauma?
Release, like how, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to feel into that one. How does play help release trauma? I think in a big way, it helps, it overrides in essence. And you've got to pair that with a lot of other pieces and different contexts and narratives. Like as you're playing, you also need to be working on your mindset because play is very much about embodiment. It's about being in the body. So the more we get into the body, the more we're actually able to release stuck energy in the body. So play alone is not going to facilitate all the trauma release that you need, but it can be an avenue. It can be what's called integration. So integration is what you do following a clearing. So let's say we did like level 3 or level 1 of spiral, and we're clearing around survival and guilt, right? We're clearing all of that out of the body. Now we've created space in the body. And let's say your intention for stepping into spiral is to feel more alive. Integration would be like, okay, you've got space in the garden. Where are you going to go plant? Go do that thing now. Get an imprint of what it's like to feel that and let it install while you have all this RAM space in your body's computer. So playing in relationship to doing deep clearing work can be super, super healing. I actually was just chatting with somebody that is working with me who said that she decided she was going to, for the first time in maybe over a decade, put on her favorite song and dance in her room. And it unlocked so much joy for her. Like it created this super powerful reference point, this memory, this energetic imprint on her body of like, oh, that's what's possible for me. And when we have those experiences and we collect enough of them, we start to redefine our relationship to what's possible and our ability to experience them more consistently. Is that clear? Does that help kind of answer what you're going at? Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's really clear. It's
Okay,
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. And is there anything else that you really would like to add or share about this?
Mm. what's coming through is that it's a practice.
Mm,
And so it's typical for it to not feel super comfortable the first couple of times you start to explore.
mm,
I think there's a misperception that I see in the healing community that when you do healing work, integration should be easy. When you work on a trauma, you should be over it.
mm.
Not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So, because it takes courage, and courage is the willingness to marry fear with love and compassion, if you're stretching and really doing the integration work, you will always have a little bit of discomfort present when you're playing or doing something new.
Mm,
And that's okay. Like it's part of the package. It's part of the process. And it does get easier with time. But if you start swinging and you love going to the swing set and you're uncomfortable at first, and then you start to build a muscle of resilience around that, and you feel real good going on the swing set, and then maybe you don't swing for 3 months and then you go back to the swing set, you might feel uncomfortable again playing. If you go gaps without playing, you're going to experience that, like, ooh, I haven't worked out in a bit, I'm feeling a little tight.
yeah.
And that's okay.
Mm,
It's a muscle we build.
yeah. Yeah. And what hurdles have you personally faced, and how have you overcome them?
Oh man. I would say, well, a lot of them are internal hurdles,
Mm,
mostly self-imposed.
yeah.
Uh, you
It
know?
seems like a common, I think it's so often the case.
Yeah. And I think the biggest one is, like, it's so interesting because now I quit my job a little over a year ago, to do this healing work full time and build a business. And I've had a story for the longest time. Like, I hate being center of attention. I don't like eyes on me. I carried the label of introvert pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just reflecting on this earlier before I jumped on with you, that I think I have effectively, like, trained myself to be comfortable as an extrovert.
Mm,
I have put myself in enough sticky situations, danced in public enough times, gone live on social media
mm,
hundreds of times, like, just kind of ran that program of being seen. Like, I'm going to be seen no matter what, even in my discomfort. I'm going to lean in. And the more I did that, the more I was able to find a sense of purpose and an anchor point of, like, I've got this. I've got
mm,
this.
yeah. And on the other side, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Yeah. Oh man. I nature. I love anytime I'm immersed in nature, I feel deeply inspired. Watching other people's art,
Mm-hmm.
um, watching people dance, watching people paint, watching people speak spoken word, music really inspires me. I'm very sensory, very, like, tactile, and I receive inspiration through my body, through
Mm-hmm.
color, through sound. And just having these conversations ignites me. It stirs creative energy in me, just connecting in this way, and answering these lovely questions, and yeah, asking them of myself over and over again.
Mm. Yeah, I love inner reflection and going deep into that stuff. It's transformative stuff, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you start your day today?
Dancing.
Mm, it's
I
my
started
favorite.
by dancing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually have been, like, more conscious of, I made an altar last week, and I've been starting to sit there and tapping deeper into devotion this morning. But I give myself flexibility. So I light the candles, and I don't follow a very specific routine or structure with how I pray and how I practice devotion. So I was like, I need to move. I'm gonna move. So I put on, like, some booty shaking music, and I danced and had my coffee, wanted to watch the sunrise, but it was cloudy. But it was a beautiful morning. I had a really good
Yeah.
time.
Sounds like fun. I
It was.
love dancing.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because sometimes I dance with my son, and it's such a different experience when I dance with him versus if I'm dancing by myself. Because
Yes.
I'm way more playful when I'm dancing with him, but I'm way
Yes.
more in my body and more soulful, I guess, when I dance by myself. There's a real difference.
Thank you for bringing that up because dance was one of my portals again to playfulness, and music is the universal language. I think that it can be easy to forget how powerful music can be in getting you to move. So if you're new to play, I say create a playlist. And a
Mm.
playlist meaning like a list of music that makes you want to move your booty and wiggle and dance
Mm.
and just letting yourself go ham in your room. Like you can do this in private if that's where you're at right now, and just letting yourself drop back into the body and move to music. So
Yeah.
good. If you got
Yeah.
kids like you do, like dance with your kids for sure.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. I love to dance. Um,
Mm.
and what are you curious about right now?
Ooh, what am I cute? Okay, so what immediately came up was I got a drone for Christmas. I'm really curious about how to use it because I want to start
Uh,
taking aerial videos and
yes.
pictures.
So fun. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Well, my partner Rowan has a drone and
cool.
that's his thing. So yeah,
Amazing.
I don't know how to use it. I haven't tried. Um, yeah, maybe I should, or maybe I could. Um,
Mm.
and what's your favorite book and why?
Ooh. So I have lots of favorite books, but I would say the one that I reference or I've been referencing the most lately is Whatever Arises, Love That by Matt
Mhm.
Kahn. Essentially it just outlines all the principles that make me feel really alive. It really is,
Mm.
in essence, just an ode to the power of love. And it
Mhm.
really helped me heal my inner child about 4 years ago when I first discovered it. It was really powerful for me then, and it still is.
Yeah. Um, and room, desk, or car, which would you clean first?
What was the question? Which room?
Yeah, which would you clean first? Your room, your desk, or your car?
Oh, definitely not my car.
Yeah,
That
that'd be
stays dirty. Um, which would I clean first? I would probably say my room.
hmm. And what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh man, I have always wanted to be a professional dancer,
Mm-hmm.
or I've wanted to be a part of some sort of musical troubadour. Like I've always wanted to, I sing and I love to sing, and I've always wanted to.
Yeah, I've heard your voice. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's gonna happen though at some point. Like that, I'm definitely holding that as an intention. I don't really have a deep urge to go there right now. I feel like it'll unfold when it's meant to, but
Mm,
creating music for sure.
yeah. Um, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
I'm not gonna say 10. I'm definitely not 10. I would say like a 7.
Yeah. Cool.
Probably a 7. You wouldn't know if you looked at me, but like if you were inside my brain.
Yeah.
Inside my brain 10. I'd probably present as like a 5 or a 6, rating as a
Yeah.
7.
And what do you wish you knew when you first started out?
When I first started doing this work,
Yeah,
or
just on this path.
uh that's a great question. What do I wish that I knew? I guess it would be really, it would have been super cool if I could have seen myself. Like if I just had a little snapshot of who
Mhm.
I was becoming. And I think about that quite often. I was just like, oh, wow, my inner teenager would be so enamored by me right now.
Mm.
Like, she'd be like, holy shit, you did that? What? What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so cool. You know, like my little girl would be like, you're so cool. So I guess I would wish that I could meet my younger self, or that
Yeah.
she could have met me, you know.
Mm. Is there any advice that you'd give her?
My younger self. I would just tell her she's right on path. I
Mm-hmm.
would just tell her, keep going. You're amazing, and you're doing exactly what you're being called to do. And trust, like, I would just tell her, like, trust in the synchronicities and trust in your intuition, which is quite spontaneous. And I felt a lot of shame and guilt around the way I spent money or made decisions, and they all got me here. So
Yeah.
I would just say, keep going, girlfriend. You know it. You know
Yeah.
it.
Totally. And if you could remove all barriers and constraints, what project would you do, and what would you want to be known for? Like, if you had just one project that you could do and be known
I could remove all barriers and constraints.
for.
What project would I do? Oh my gosh. Okay. I got it. Yeah. No, I've been getting this nudge to create a healing center with a rainbow room, which is made of all stained glass and reflects rainbows into the room. And there's horses on the property, and so it would be like a sanctuary. I create this sanctuary, and I would host other healers to do workshops there.
Mm-hmm.
I would host retreats. It would just be a space where people could come and experience their essence and really anchor in an imprint of their aliveness and get a feel for that.
What's a rainbow room for? I haven't heard of
It's
that before.
for it's just kind of my imagination. It wants to be this round room, all windows. So like the sun is filtering through in all directions, constantly reflecting like rainbow fractals into the room. And it's just a magical space to do things like journey dance, ecstatic dance, breath work, workshops. Like the space itself would just create such an imprint of magic that it doesn't matter what happens in that room. All you need to do is be in that room, and you're already getting healing.
Yeah. Oh, sounds so good. You
Yeah.
better make that then.
I know. That's what's happening.
um, and what's the best compliment you've ever received?
Ah, the best compliment that I've ever received. I It's funny. I'm like having a hard time recalling. I mean, the common ones are coming up, like you're an old soul, or ah, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm like stuck on this. I feel like it's something my husband said, but I just can't recall it. People have just said such lovely things to me. I just want to send love to everybody who's ever complimented me, and if I can't remember it, I appreciate it anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's one thing that one of your programs or like one-on-one things that did for a client that you didn't expect?
Oh man, gosh, so many things. Um, well, so part of me is just like, how much in detail? I'm just trying to think of like client confidentiality, but um, I've had clients express to me like a deepening of their sexual energy, like kundalini energy
Mm-hmm.
rising after doing a couple levels of spiral. Um, Deeper intimacy in relationships, like just more effortless intimacy. I followed one client for about a year now when I started working with her, and from then till now, like she's activated all of her intentions for sisterhood, for sacred leadership. Like I just watch, like I followed her probably the longest of most of my clients. Actually, another client I had started her own podcast as well, with some of like the conversations we were having and the work we were doing, just like beautiful things, just like actualizing visions, just like getting what they came for, they always set the standard, they always say what they want, and usually they're hitting it, like they're just going for it.
So good.
Yeah.
And what does elevating your life and soul mean to you?
Ooh. I would say it's very much tied into the work that I do as well. Like that's why we're here, right? That's why we're connected and we've crossed stars, and it's elevating your life and soul, like one, setting a higher standard for yourself, or like reaching higher, and then activating life force energy, really just like nurturing the things that make you come alive, and conversating with soul like on a daily basis, like really being in fostering that connection, being in relationship with that.
Beautiful. And is there anything that I could have asked you but I didn't, that you wish I did?
You asked me the most interesting questions.
I'm
I just
so
want more of
glad.
I kind of want to write up of these questions because I'm going to start asking them at dinner parties.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love them. They take you, well, I feel like they can open up some deep, interesting stuff.
Yes. See, I find that to be playful, actually. Like I find your choice of questions to be playful. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah.
And then, of course, how can people connect with you, work with you? What's happening?
Yes. So the podcast that I just launched as well is called the Art of Aliveness podcast. And there's a free insiders group that you can join if you just search Art of Aliveness Podcast Insiders on Facebook.
I
Chrissy,
can drop it in the show notes too, for sure. Yeah.
thank you, darling. I'm Chrissy Marie on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm at Come Alive with Chrissy Marie. And then my website is www.yourchildhoodrising.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah, reach out any of those platforms, shoot me a message.
Cool. And do you have any programs or anything happening right now, or you're doing Spiral with people, taking people through the Spiral?
Yes, I am taking people currently through Spiral. So there's openings, a few more openings for Spiral. It's a 1-to-1 journey. Minimum for me is 3 months, really deep diving and clearing and really anchoring in essence. Speaking of essence, I run a sisterhood as well, but we've just begun. So you can follow that journey, and that sisterhood will open up again probably next year. But in the meantime, like definitely get connected to the podcast if you're interested, if that really sparks aliveness in you, because I will probably be relaunching one of my courses called The Art of Alchemy. And I may be rebranding it to Art of Aliveness because it's a 3-month course. It has so much to do with what we're talking about now, and actually making this practical and tangible so that you can, just access aliveness in your day to day.
It just makes me breathe deeply, like, feeling into that. So thank you. This conversation has it's been magic. It really has. I always love talking to you. I feel very grateful that I get to. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me on, love. I feel the same. I really deeply appreciate the sisterhood.
Me too. And yeah, I will talk to you very soon.
Thanks, love.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you like it, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you love this episode, please give it an honest review on iTunes and let me know what you loved and what you want more of. Your feedback helps me truly elevate the show into something that really serves you and allows me to keep pouring my heart and soul into it. This is for you. Let's rise together. And remember, know your value, know your worth. I love you, beautiful soul.